Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of the PR from the Heart Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached episode number 156. That is the 156th trolley stop here at PR from the Heart in the Children's Book Spotlight Series. My name is John Massalonis, the manager here at PR from the Heart. Thank you for spending your time with us wherever you are, wherever you may be. We are fully now in the midst of the back-to-school season. Raise your hand if you are enjoying the back-to-school season. If you are a parent, if you are a grandparent, if you're an educator, if you're a little one. Yes, we see hands from the little ones on screen, so job well done, mission accomplished thus far. We do, of course, we're with you, with all of you parents and grandparents and educators, because we still got another couple of weeks before everyone is fully back to school. And especially if you have a toddler who is stepping into preschool for the first period of time in their life, it can be a real fun experience. It can also be a very stressful experience. You're kind of wondering, okay, is everything going to go right? Is everything going to fall into place? Is my little one going to make friends? Is everything going to turn out okay? Well, we want to assure you that preschool can be a very fun and enjoyable experience. There is a way to be able to take out the anxiety and to take out the stress. And ironically enough, it's the Children's Book Spotlight Series, right? So leave it to a brand new heartfelt children's book to help us see the way for little ones as they head back to school. And if you're a fan of Christmas, I know you hear Christmas in July, right? And it's already the month of August right now. But if you're familiar with that little jingle, the 12 Days of Christmas, then boy, do we have a surprise for you. Joining us here in studio, of course, we are back at the North County Media Center here in the San Diego area, Vista to be precise. A special hello and shout out to Jefferson, who is doing his due diligence. He's doing an incredible job for us each and every time we have the opportunities to spend some quality time with our favorite neighbors here at the North County Media Center. It is such a good feeling. So yes, joining us today in studio here at the North County Media Center in Vista as our featured guest here for episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, we will be sharing her brand new children's book, The First 12 Days of Preschool. It is now available. You can head on over to Jeanette Crystal Bradley's official website, ironically enough, her full name, .com. We keep it simple here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Also, if you head on over to Amazon.com, you can leave a 5-star review. It's one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Jeanette Crystal Bradley, who is our featured guest here on episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books, and yes, our wee ones who are stepping into preschool. Jeanette, thank you for spending some free time with us here this week. How are things with you?
Good. Busy, getting ready for back to school, like you were talking about, even preschoolers back to school. But I'm excited to be here today. Thank you so much.
You're most certainly welcome. And of course, if you are in the spirits and if you're saying, hooray, a resource of care is available to take some of the stress off my plate, to make this a less anxious back to school season. We encourage you, if this message is already opening up your heart, if it's lifting your spirits, you're lifting your spirits, and if it's providing you with some much needed support, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for PR from the Heart in the Children's Book Spotlight Series is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that you are now enjoying. That is episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. I love the book. There's so many different ways we can begin our conversation, but there's always an origin story, especially when we're here to do work for the children. It's a mission. It's a dharma. It's a life's calling. So sometimes people know at a very early age that they're here for the kids. So in addition to your work as a children's author, you actually own your own preschool, which that has to be one of the most fascinating jobs. I always believe that the funnest jobs are if you work at Toys R Us, you work at Trader Joe's, or if you work at Disneyland or a library. But owning a preschool is right up there on that list. For those of our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow shining stars who are learning about you for the first time, they're learning about your book, could you share with us where really everything began for you when you first knew that your work was here, your purpose was here for the children?
Yes, I'm excited to share because it's it's a very different story, not one that you hear a lot. But when I got out of high school, I immediately went into the legal field, and I was there for about 13 years. And then I got pregnant with my firstborn son, and my neighbor and we were due 3 days apart.
Oh, wow.
And so when our kids were 1.5, we were out in our cul-de-sac, and I was noticing that her daughter knew her colors, and she was counting, and she was speaking very well, and my son wasn't able to do any of those things. I was taking him to work with me. We started our own company, and I wasn't able to work in the legal field anymore. So we had a construction company, and he would come to work with me, and my friend laughs at me because I hired a babysitter to come to work, and I never wanted to leave my son alone. It's hard. It's so hard. I see parents come in all the time, moms leave their babies, and they cry. And, part of our job is taking care of the kids, and part of our job is taking care of the parents. It's hard to leave your children with people you don't know. And so I was facing a big dilemma. What do I do? So to tell you the truth, my son was 1.5, and he had never left me. I had been with him his entire life up to that point. But as a parent, we always want to do the very best for our children.
Absolutely.
So I felt very convicted, and I felt like I was cheating my son. And so how do I take my son to preschool but still get to be with him? And so in my early 20s, I said, okay, I'll build him one. And so that's what I did. So I didn't know what I was doing. I had never been to preschool. I had never even stepped foot in a preschool before. So we leased a warehouse, and we built a school. So this is our 25th anniversary, September 1997. And I have 4 grandchildren. 3 of them live in San Diego, and they come to the preschool.
I love that.
Yeah, so it just keeps going on. And so I have my kids there. It's wonderful, my grandkids.
We're going to be talking more about the preschool momentarily. And thank you for sharing that. It's a very vulnerable share. And, Jefferson, I know that, he probably recognizes this phrase. If you go back, I used to be a baseball fan back in the day, long before my world in the realm of children's books. The movie Field of Dreams said, if you build it, they will come. And so, Jeanette, it sounds like that you had that vision, like if you build it, the little ones will come, and that your wishes to become your reality in that particular aspect. Yeah. Whenever we know we're meant to do something, sometimes we can experience challenges. Like even if we really want to think life is rainbows and gumdrops, and which, by the way, I still think that's an awesome name for a children's book, by the way, if it hasn't been written yet, Rainbows and Gumdrops. But we can experience challenges and difficulties and obstacles and problems. But it's important that we move through those to get to the other side. What were some of the early, when you knew, okay, I want to be able to open up a preschool, and then obviously in terms of stepping into your work as a children's author, we'll talk about that as well. What were some of the things that you faced early on? And then at the same point, what were some of the things that helped you to get through and move through to the other side of those challenges?
Well, my education was not in early childhood education. My education was in business, and I was in the legal field, like I said, prior to that. And so I did not have the units to be my own director. So I didn't have any early childhood education. I had 1.5 years experience as a mother, and that was it. So we hired a director, and then over the years, I got my own units and became director qualified. So that was interesting. But also going through the licensing process and going through the city. We were in the city of Santee, and going through that whole governmental process of getting a conditional use permit. And so it's no small task. And I think just the drive of knowing that I was doing this for my son and my future children, and just my, never give up attitude is just what it took, because it's not easy. And so we just bought a larger preschool. That's kind of my 25th year anniversary gift. And it has been really hard. like all the things that are important. It seems like they're tough and they're a battle, but you just keep going. Every day it's just, a little more, a little more, a little more, and you just don't give up. It's the mindset that you're going to do it, and so I don't ever have that conversation or that discussion in my mind. I've already had it, and so I just do it.
It really sounds that you've had a lot of motivation and drive, even in spite of any perceived challenges that you may see. You found a way. We're quoting a lot of expressions here in episode number 156 of the Children's Book Socialize. If there's a will, there's a way. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that you truly have embodied that in the process. Again, for those of you who are spending some time with us, we really appreciate it. Episode number 156 of PR from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight Series. Our featured guest, award-winning children's author Jeanette Crystal Bradley, is joining us. We are almost ready to dive into the pages of her new heartfelt children's book, First 12 Days of Preschool. It is now available. You can head on over to Jeanette's official website, her full name, JeanetteCrystalBradley.com. Mm-hmm. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of choosing. That's, of course, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Jeanette to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books, and, of course, the little ones who are headed back to school. And that time, of course, is now here. We're fully immersed with it. Yes. You obviously spent a great deal of time with your preschool, spending time with the kids. There obviously came a point where you said, okay, there needs to be a children's book. Could you kind of walk us through the experience of when that first aha happened, and kind of take us like behind the scenes in the Wayback Machine of what that really looked like for yourself, how that really came to be?
Yeah, so I do want to add, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm very grateful that I feel like some of us, I have people that will come and say, I could never do your job. And sometimes I feel like I should be paying the parents, because what I get out of what I do, I wouldn't get anywhere else. And to be able to truly love and care for kids that I didn't give birth to is such a gift to me. And so I'm really, really grateful that I get to do that. But a couple of times a year, we would have a show. We would do a Christmas program and then a graduation program like what we have coming up this week. And it's that time where our kids get to shine. And it's a gift to the parents as well, where they get to see all the time and money that they've invested by letting their kids come to the school, And so we were rehearsing for our Christmas program. It was in November. And every year I like to do something different, because we do have siblings, and so they, in a year or two, they might see the same program. So every time I switch it up, I make it different. And so one year I was trying to search for something to do that was different, and I was looking at the different songs, and I saw the 12 Days of Christmas. And I'm like, Lord's a leaping ladies dancing, like, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure. So I found something else. And then the next year, I was in the same boat. The kids are singing We Wish You Merry Christmas. And I'm just going, what can I do to make this different? What can I do? And so while they were rehearsing, I started to, I just couldn't get rid of that song. It stayed with me. And I just started to write the words to the first 12 days of preschool. Now, incidentally, there is a book called The 12 Days of Preschool, and the 12 Days of Christmas, and the 12 Days of Valentine's Day, and the 12, there's a series. So ours is the first 12 days of preschool.
Very important distinction.
Yes. And so after the second day of rehearsal, I pretty much had all the words. And so I said, okay, guys, we're going to sing this song. And it was a hit. The parents loved it. The kids loved it. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty good. So then I had some quiet time, and which I don't get very often. It's usually, at night as I'm trying to fall asleep. And I just thought, put it in a book. So that's how that idea came about. So I actually did it in reverse.
I love that. And it's like, I've been singing the song. I mean, just like throughout the course of the entire day before we're actually recording this episode here at the North County Media Center in Vista, I've been jamming along all day. And just one of the many things, and we'll again dive deeper into the book, but it's, I really feel that children's books, they're meant for kids, but they're also meant for adults to reconnect back to their inner child. So, I mean, like, how often as kids do we remember getting our first Christmas gift or singing the Christmas carols with our friends at school or with mom and dad, brother, sister, your friends down the street? And yeah, you remember the 12 days of Christmas. And it's like, wouldn't it be cool like if there was something that was kidified, so to speak? And this is, so it's not only just a book, by the way, but it's a song and a book. And this is one of the things kind of, like diving a little bit deeper as we now dive into the pages of your book. It's just so much more than the traditional children's book. It's something that it's not just, it's obviously a back to school resource right now. But one of the things that I've started noticing is that there's a term that I tend to use. It's fathers in waiting and mothers in waiting. So there's a lot of dads out there, a lot of moms out there that haven't even met their special someone yet, but they're like, I know I want to be a dad at some point. I want to be a mom at some point. I can just only imagine like the feeling. It's like, this is a book that I need to have when the time comes, when the little one comes in to prepare for the first 12 days of preschool. Could you share with us specifically because we never give away the whole kit and caboodle. So one of the things here on the Children's Book Spotlight series, Jefferson gets a kick out of that terminology. We never give away the kit and caboodle here on the Children's Book Spotlight series. Without giving away the whole kit and caboodle, what are some of the things that parents and grandparents and educators and little ones can really enjoy, obviously noting the fact that the book is a song and it's tied to the 12 days of Christmas?
Well, I wanted to add to that, not only did we make it a song that was just very professionally recorded in a studio with recording artist Lady Dang. Like, that was so exciting to get to go and record a song with her. My best friend's daughter and my grandson is on it. So you get the very professional, done well, beautiful vocals, but then you also get the kids' vocals. It's amazing. Right. But then we also had an amazing team come down from LA and shot very beautifully and professionally a music video, which is free on YouTube. Just look up Jeanette Crystal Bradley and the song will come up, the video will come up. And can I just add that we just won 7 Telly Awards, our video.
The Tellys are pretty big.
Yeah, 7 of them. This whole process and this journey has been mind-blowing, just unbelievable.
I love that. And yes, Jefferson, I will share this as well. Did you, a little known fact, by the way, and this kind of ties into like why I'm about ready to break into song momentarily. So yes, I actually was a tenor in my high school's vocal ensemble for 1 year. So back in 1998, 1999, I learned the whole musical score of the Broadway musical Rent, and the song in St. Elmo's Fire, that's the instrumental, but most people know the song Man in Motion by John Parr. They don't know the other version. So it's like, when I saw the book and I started reading it, it's like, on the first day of preschool, my teacher taught to me how to count 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, I want to just go to the next one and the next one. And this is so cool with the book because it's a matter of like, the best books are the ones that you read and then you put them down, but then you go back to them again and again and again and again. What does this mean to you, knowing the fact that this is a book that is really, it's not even just a calling card, it's something that can really last. It's fun, it's engaging, it's creative, as you mentioned. There's the music video as well too. What does all of this mean to you, knowing that it's actually genuinely and tangibly making an impact with kids, especially right now coming out on the other side of the pandemic? It's
tremendous. So one of the things that I was focusing on when I was thinking about publishing the book and how it would be received is just the thought of, I remember going back to that day when I was in the cul-de-sac with my neighbor, and just the gut-wrenching feeling that I had, thinking that I was ripping my son off. He needed to go to school. What was I going to do? I wasn't going to leave him. And so how do we make it so that it's easier on the children and on the parents when they have to go to, they have to go to preschool, either because the parents have to work, or, there are a lot of benefits from kids going to preschool. Like I have most of my students, when they graduate from preschool, they're reading. And so they are just off to a great start. And so to be able to have something like this that helps parents and it helps children be less anxious about preschool. And I love it even when I have students that are getting ready to start and they watch the video and the parents say, well, this is your teacher and this is your classroom and these are your friends, because all of the students that are in the music video, they're either current or former students. So we invited some of our former students to come back. So all the students are between 2 and 9 years old, because when children, you'll notice, like when they go and they watch, like, Mom, give me your phone, and they're watching videos, it's typically older children and not younger children. So we invited students to come back up to, so they're like 2 6-year-olds, 2 7-year-olds, 2 8-year-olds, 2 9-year-olds.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things I really love about your work, Jeanette, is the way in which you communicate life lessons for the kids. So sometimes you might be like, hey, kids, today we're going to learn. And it's like, aw, you kind of get like that sort of soporific, can we do it tomorrow kind of thing? And learning can be fun. Mm-hmm. Kids lost out on so much during the pandemic over the past 2 years, whether it be not being with their friends, not being with their teachers, reading levels in many aspects across the country, literacy levels have plummeted. Yes. So being able to communicate and share these sorts of life lessons, such as how to be kind to one another, that's really where it all begins, to be able to share how to work together. Mm-hmm. Why was it important for you to be able to communicate these messages in this very simplistic sort of way? You're obviously not reinventing the wheel, but this is something that really kids can not only get, gravitate to, and understand, but kids learn when they're engaged, and you're really doing that. So why was it important for you to be able to share these particular messages in the way in which you have?
Well, I think part of what relieves anxiety is knowing what to expect, right? And so even sometimes we're sitting in circle time and I'll tell my students, guess what we're having for lunch today? And that's just so that it makes them feel more secure. Yes. And so knowing what to expect when you go to preschool, for parents and for the children, it helps them to be less anxious. And of course, we could write 5 books on all the things that they do in preschool, because there are so many things, and this is just a small piece of it. But all of those things like you don't think about, like be kind to others, where to line up, right? Mm-hmm. Cleaning up after yourself. And so I felt like giving them helping them with their expectation was important.
I love the way, again, that you're communicating as well through the illustrations, because kids are they love the vibrancy. They love the colors, and even just we obviously color coordinate at the Children's Book Spotlight series. These are what we call the shining stars, by the way, Jeanette. And this is just one of the main things we love about Jefferson, by the way. We brought an orange shining star and a yellow shining star, and I said, Jefferson, can you help me color coordinate? Is this more orange or is this more yellow? And he's like, John, go with the orange. We think this looks good. Was there any specific, like when you were laying out the colors, the illustrations, was there any sort of specific reasoning behind it, or was it just a matter of, this is what you felt the kids would really gravitate to with everything that you had in mind?
Yeah, so it's really important, like you talked about, the color combination. Now, the lighter blue is one of my favorite colors, but the primary colors, just the way that it pops and is super fun, that was all very important. And so we did some edits until we came even like the border, how large, how small, how much of each color. So just until it was just right, like it just had to grab me, and then I was like, oh, that's it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And paying close attention to detail when you're
That's
putting
right.
a children's book together, it's the little things that mean the most. We're beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here in studio at the North County Media Center in the San Diego area of Vista. Jeanette Crystal Bradley, award-winning children's author, is joining me for episode number 156, or 156th Trolley Stop at the Children's Book Spotlight Series here at PR from the hardest part of our back-to-school season at the program. We encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, to head on over to Jeanette's official website, JeanetteCrystalBradley.com. You can purchase your copy of the first 12 days of preschool there. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can leave a 5-star review. That's one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Jeanette to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much-needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books, and of course, all of the little ones that are heading back to school in the process. Mm-hmm. I really also love the fact that in many respects, I know this is obviously more or less meant for preschoolers, but I can just imagine there's kids that are in 4th grade and they're turning into 5th grade. And yes, even kids that are going from 8th grade into, I just remember like freshman year of high school, it's like this, oh my God, it's like this culture shock kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. This is a resource where like we all have, we were talking about this before we started recording, we all have the inner child within us. And it's just so like, this is a book, I always use the term children of all ages, so to speak, in terms of anxiety. Again, that's something between anxiety and fear. Little ones had their own fears and insecurities before the pandemic, and now it's kind of like them. There was all the stuff from the pandemic, and then it's now, okay, we're coming on the other side of this. We always love to be able to provide some essential supportive information, tips, tools, strategies for parents, for caregivers, for grandparents, for educators that they can immediately implement into their lives so that when they're with their children, with their students, with whichever children that's in their lives, that they can be more, they can feel more safe and more comfortable, because that's really what it's about. When it comes to anxiety and fear, what are some simple ways, especially during the back to school season, that parents and caregivers and educators can really lessen the anxiety and take out some of the fear, or at least, conserve it, so to speak, bring it down a couple of notches so that little ones can feel more comfortable with just everything that they're experiencing for the first time?
Well, I think communication is key. So knowing what's going to happen, the expectations. So talking it through, giving them a chance to answer questions. And as far as preschool goes, what I like to do is I like to invite my parents, my prospective parents, to come and bring the children. Let them come and play and hang out with us for a little bit twice. And then can you imagine, like when you start a new job, you're nervous because you don't know everybody and you're learning a new job. So we're talking about little ones going to a new place with new adults, new friends, new routines, and not knowing anybody. Can you imagine how that would make you feel? Mm-hmm. And so I always say, can you bring them twice and come and spend time? And so I always ask my teachers, this is number one with me. You have to connect with each child. If that means taking 4 minutes and you just sit with that child and you listen, you play in the sand, and you just say, how do you feel today? What do you like here? What do you want to do? What do you like to eat? Get to know them. And when they see you looking into them in their eyes and paying attention and seeing who they are, they'll trust you. They'll let you in and they'll love you. And I get so many hugs. And even on that occasion, when somebody's, not listening or hurting friends, and I do have to resort to a timeout, they get up and they come over and they hug me and they say, I love you, Miss Jeanette, because I saw them and I see every one of them. And that is what makes the difference.
When I think of the word joy, like one of the things I always like to do quite regularly now is like, what's one word that personifies someone? And for you, it's joy. Like everything that you do, there's just so much joy that emanates from you through your work at your preschool, through your work as an author, just sharing this work with people who are learning about it for the first point in time. The world needs more joy, not just joy to the world during the holiday season, right, Jefferson? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's a matter of we need more joy. I think especially as adults, we take life way too seriously, right? We've got to pay the bills, we've got to pay the taxes, we got to walk the dog, we got to clean the garage, we got so much stuff, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll give ourselves like a half an hour of self-care, and self-care is totally paramount right now, especially if you are a parent and taking care of a little one or multiple little ones. For all the big kids that are out there, for all of the adults, what are some things, because it feels like you do your parts just so that you can show up. I was communicating this earlier with a friend that in order to be a blessing to other people, it's important that you're able to be a blessing to yourself.
That's right.
What are some words of encouragement that you can share for parents, but even just adults who are looking to reconnect with their inner child, that are struggling in some way, who are looking to integrate more joy into their lives? What are some things that come to mind that you want to share?
Well, it's funny that you said that, because I'd like to mention that we sponsor the Olivia Hudson Foundation, and the funds go to help with research for pediatric brain cancer. And I was talking to Olivia Hudson's parents, and her father told me that this book is anointed with joy. And so I love that you said that. We didn't have a previous conversation about it. And when they came down to shoot the video, I said, you guys are creatives. I fully trust you. I want confetti. Like, I'm not going to be willing to give that up. Anything else you want to change, I'm okay with. But to be serious, just be kind to yourself. Life is hard. And I think what really clicked for me was the moment when I learned that I'm not the sum of my mistakes. I'm valuable. And honestly, I'm a princess, and we're princes and princesses. That's who we were created to be. And nothing anybody says or does will change that. Like, I could pick up this water bottle and I could say, you are a tomato, and it doesn't change it. It's a water bottle. And I'm always going to be valuable no matter what I do. If I make mistakes, I do all the time. But it doesn't change my self-worth. And that's the same for you. Be kind to yourself, love yourself, and forgive yourself.
It's really where it all begins. And I one of the main things, I'm not sure if I've had the opportunities to share this with you, but I feel at some point in time I'm meant to be a father. Now, I know that the experience hasn't happened yet. All the essential ingredients and components, not here just yet. But I've known for about the past 10 years that one of the main reasons I'm here to be a great father. And I've been very blessed with the opportunities to have my own journey of self-love and forgiveness, so that when the time comes and, little one drops in, it's like I'm able to be more equipped for him in the process. And I think that we learned so much during the pandemic. And I think that many of us, we now know that life is too precious, and we know our own inherent worth. We know our own value. That's why you're seeing a lot of people take the time and open up their own businesses and kind of, leave corporate America, that kind of thing. And just to be able to mention, Door to the Future Preschool. I first of all, it's a great name, by the way, catchy name. And it's just like, it's not the traditional preschool. And I just really, I love the work that you're doing with your preschool, because it's a way of having the preschool experience, but to have more, there's more of you, there's more of the support that's actually present in the process. And the world needs more of you. The world needs more of the Door to the Future preschools as well, too. For those parents that are out there who are looking to be able to bring their little ones in, whether they're moving to the San Diego area, they live in the San Diego area, maybe they have a desire to be a parent at some point in time in the future, and then go to San Diego and then have your little one be at Door to the Future Preschool. Could you share a little bit more about exactly what makes your preschool stand out as not the traditional preschool?
Well, first of all, I can't stop teaching. So I'm the owner, the director, I do all the shopping, I'm the cook, and
That's like 6 hats.
I do all the accounting, but I can't stop teaching because I want to be with the kids. I love it when we one of the things we do is we count to 100, we count by tens, and so they go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then when they're counting, they go, 39, 40. And I just love that. I just love that when something comes alive and we help them to build their confidence. And so one of the things that we do is I work with every student. When they come in, I assess them, and then I build curriculum for that student. So we have a student that just turned 5 years old recently, and she's going to kindergarten. And we helped her. Now her parents are very much involved, so I can't say I've taken all the credit because that wouldn't be true. But she made it halfway through a 3rd grade workbook. Like,
it's amazing.
Yeah, so wherever they're at, we meet them there. And then we encourage them and we bring them along and we let them sit in the confidence, build that confidence so they're ready for school. A lot of our kids go on to a language immersion program because they're so advanced. They do such a good job. But, we help them to communicate. We help them to learn to grow in every way. So, and we just love them.
There's that personalized touch.
Yes.
It feels that you're giving, and it's a matter of caring about each child. And kind of like, there was nothing wrong with the old model, but I think that the old model of teaching is kind of broken down. And so being able to give that undivided attention, because you never know, we had another expression here, Jefferson, you never know what someone's going through unless you walk a mile in the shoes.
Right.
And the shoes start off with little shoes with the little ones because, we want to make sure that they're fully comfortable, capable, that they believe in themselves when they're in preschool so that they actually go to kindergarten, which this is something I wish I had this book growing up when I was a preschool student in Buffalo, which, by the way, showing as B-roll, if you're indeed enjoying, which we are very grateful that you're still joining us here for episode number 156, the Children's Book Spotlights, is I will share with you one of my favorite memories in preschool. I think it was part of my preschool graduation. We had a thing called the Color Parade. Now, Jefferson, you're like, wow, the color parade, John? It's like, absolutely. And it's interesting because I chose the color green. And actually, from when this episode is actually airing, just a couple of days ago, I celebrated the 9-year anniversary of my grandmother's passing and her transition. And her favorite color was green. And I still, I didn't really keep that many pictures of myself, for a long period of time. I kind of kept the ones that really meant the most to me. And I still have the one with the color parade. And yes, at one point in time, so as a little one, I wore the sweater vests and the clip-on ties, this big mop of hair. Jefferson, I actually had this big mop of hair, so to speak. But again, you have so much appreciation. And I feel that one of the things that adults can also benefit from this book is if they're doing their part to be able to reconnect with their inner child, it just makes them feel that much more whole in the process, again, because in order for you to be a blessing to other people, you need to be a blessing to yourself. There's no, you are an avid learner, you help little ones learn, and in many respects, life helps us learn. Earth is a school. It's a term that I tend to use, Earth School. So we learn each and every day. It's not just about, graduating from 8th grade and graduating from high school and graduating from college, and then if you get the PhD and the master's, every single day we learn. What has this book, your book, The First 12 Days of Preschool, what has it taught you about yourself? What has it taught you about life?
Wow. I'm so grateful. I have so much to be grateful for. Being part of this book and the journey that I've been on, I've learned that if it was me and I got what I deserved, it wouldn't be this. And so, there's grace. There's grace for us who we make mistakes, and thankfully we get to do amazing stuff like this. I know that being, an early years educator, that we teach the kids so much. We teach them to trust other people. We teach them how to learn, and so these things follow them for the rest of their lives. And so this is such an important time, and to even get to be part of the lives of thousands of people, it's an honor and a privilege. And my book is dedicated to my children, my grandchildren, and the thousands of children that changed my life. And so my nickname is Miss Jeanette, because a lot of my kids can't say Jeanette. So anytime I put my name in anywhere, it's Miss Jeanette, because when I started to do this, I wanted to impact them, but it was the opposite that happened.
I can very much, I can feel the gratitude in the words that you're conveying. And we're going to keep this gratitude flowing, by the way, because the two ways that we close out each and every children's book spotlight series, of course, one of the biggest sources of inspiration here at PR From the Heart. If you're new to watching the children's book spotlight series in PR From the Heart, or if you've been with us for this whole magic carpet ride, is of course the beloved Mr. Rogers, of course, the host of the long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Fred Rogers. And in different ways, shapes, and forms, whether it be through his time on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, whether it be through talks, whether it be college commencement speeches, most notably when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmy shortly before he passed from stomach cancer. And he always kept the time, Jefferson, just like you're keeping the time for us right now. Whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds, Mr. Rogers always said, remember those who helped love you into being. So as a little tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors, Mr. Rogers, we ask you, Jeanette, this exact same question. There is so many people that you could thank. Who would you like to take the time to publicly recognize here on episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series that helped love you, Jeanette Crystal Bradley, into being?
Well, I would like to thank my mother, who passed away this year, who just taught me what love was, like pure, completely selfless love. And then just the people that helped me with Kingdom Writer Association, Lady Dang, Matthew Lyons, my grandson who sang, and just God gave me this gift, and so he's obviously number one.
Absolutely. It's so important to have an essential faith component, because here's another expression, Jefferson, it takes a village, needless to say, and it really begins with the connection that you have, with yourself, with your own gifts, and of course with your faith as well too. And of course, we go back to one of our favorite Disney movies of all time, just to the opportunities to, actually, I should say, from when this episode is airing, in just a few days, I'm going back to Disneyland. I'm super excited, by the way. We go back to one of our favorite movies at PR From the Heart, the animated Disney classic. And this kind of reminds me, but before I kind of mention the favorite Disney classic, is that I feel as adults, as grown kids, we have the abilities to help to bring to form and shape our own dreams, desires, goals, ambitions for ourselves, for the little ones in our life, to teach them how to be able to do that, and for those that we love, we care about, and we serve. So we go back to one of our favorite Disney movies here at PR From the Heart. We remember the late Robin Williams. We remember Aladdin. We remember the Genie of the Lamp. So, of course, one of the things that we have here, this Genie Lamp has traveled a lot of trolley stops to get to this particular point in time. So this is a little segment that we like to call Three Wishes. So Jeanette, you have given so freely from your own heart, unconditionally, to children, parents, families, educators, not only in San Diego, not only in California, across the country and around the world. So you are actually being given three wishes. So you thought this was going to be a children's book spotlight series. And undoubtedly, Jeanette's like, this is going to be a great interview, and Jefferson's going to be doing a great job behind the glass. And it's like, oh my heavens, I'm getting three wishes right now. So you are being gifted three wishes. Now, they can be for yourself, they can be for the children of the world, they can be for anything and anyone that you feel is in the highest good. What would your three wishes be?
Well, I would say that my first wish would be for people. Obviously, I'm just passionate about children, but people altogether, just to know their value, their worth, their identity. That would be number one. And then number two would be that I would have just endless time.
More than 24 hours in a day.
More than 24 hours a day. And then my third one would be three more wishes.
I think that was one of the disqualifiers.
You never said that.
If I'm not mistaken, if I'm not
Right,
mistaken,
Jefferson? He never said that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that the genie back in Aladdin said that there's two things: you can't make someone fall in love with you, Jefferson, and you can't wish for more wishes, kind of thing. Yes, but we'll put out for the third wish that as many children can access this book as possible, whether it be, enjoying the ebook version of the book, whether it be the physical version of the book. I'm old school in the fact that even though I'm turning 41 in just a couple of short days, actually, yes.
Happy birthday.
I'm celebrating my birthday. We're going to save that for the end, but I'm super excited right now. But, to be able to have a children's book in your hand, there's no greater feeling that. And also, one of the things I forgot to mention, one of the reasons why I love Jeanette's book is the fact I was a Toys R Us kid. I still am. I mean, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Yeah. It looks like Jeffrey the giraffe is on the cover, and it's just like these automatic connections to my inner child. Again, we encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow Shining Stars, to head on over to Jeanette's official website. You can continue the conversation post Children's Book Spotlight series, heading over to her official website, JeanetteCrystalBradley.com. You can stay connected with her on social media as well. In the process, you can head on over to Amazon.com, leave a 5-star review after purchasing your copy of the first 12 days of preschool. That's just one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Jeanette, to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. There are many more magical trolley stops to come. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. We see Jefferson over there. He's raising his hands. Jeff, thank you very much, Jefferson. We know you're super excited here tonight. And then, of course, Jeanette's raising her hands. I'm raising my hands. We see the little one's hands on screen as well, too. Mission accomplished. Job well done. But again, we are not done here at PR from the Heart. We are not done here at the Children's Book Spotlight series. So again, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for the Children's Book Spotlight series, if this particular message, that of the first 12 days of preschool, this week's trolley stop here at the Children's Book Spotlight series, has lifted your spirits, if it's opened your heart, if you say, okay, say la vie, now there's no more anxiety, no more fear in terms of my little one headed back to school, or if anything, you kind of try something new, right? And your little one's not going to preschool, but you're learning something for the first time as an adult. If you say, all right, thankfully, for the first 12 days of preschool, I right now am feeling so light and carefree. If you feel this message needs to be shared with someone in need that could benefit from the first 12 days of preschool, we encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that has been episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. If you are a children's author, if you are a children's illustrator, and you would love to be able to share your inspiring story, just like Jeanette did here on this week's edition of the Children's Book Spotlight series, and you would like to not only share your inspiring story, but also share the release of your brand new children's book, you can head on over to our official website at prfromtheheart.com, or you can connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at PR from the Heart. We want to give just a couple of tips of the cap, if we may, to one of our favorite neighbors. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the aforementioned long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We are super excited because we are just weeks away from the trolley heading from San Diego all the way back to the East Coast, to one of our favorite cities in the country, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We are going to be recording 2 special in-studio editions of the PR from the Heart Neighborly Reviews bookcast with myself and David Newell. Of course, at the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, David and I deliver the newest heartfelt reviews from the newest children's books from the Shining Stars here in the Kidlit community, right here at PR from the Heart. So if you are a children's author and would love for David and I to be able to share and review your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, you know where to connect with us via prfromtheheart.com, and of course our social media platforms, all at PR from the Heart. Little sneak peek, you will be on a future edition of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, the first 12 days of preschool. So this is how we keep things going here at PR from the Heart. Another tip of the cap to one of our favorite neighbors, Laura Kavanaugh, the host and executive producer of San Diego Living, which airs during the 3rd hour of the CBS 8 morning show right here in San Diego, California. It is the official home of Empowering Reads for Kids, the official television book review segment of PR from the Heart. So yes, in literally just a few short days, you'll be able to see myself and Laura go inside the pages even further of the first 12 days of preschool. So stay tuned for that. If you're a children's author and would like for Laura Kavanaugh to be able to share your brand new children's book, and most importantly, connect further with children, parents, families, educators here in San Diego, America's finest city, with all due respect to the wonderful cities out there as well. If you would like to have your brand new children's book be reviewed on a forthcoming edition of Empowering Reads for Kids, you know where to connect with us, prfromtheheart.com, and also our social media platforms at PR From the Heart. And also a tip of the cap to some of our favorite neighbors at Unity Church of El Cajon. We're really excited. Each and every month we release brand new episodes of the Unity of El Cajon story time with Mr. John, presented by PR From the Heart. Just another way that we can really help make a difference in the lives of kids here in San Diego especially. So if you're a children's author and would love for me as Mr. John to be able to share your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Unity of El Cajon Storytime with Mr. John, presented by PR From the Heart, you know where to connect with us. And also we're looking forward to future episodes. They're technically in person. Story time with Mr. John, the second Saturday of every month at Glen Park in the Cardiff by the Sea area in San Diego. So we're looking forward to seeing more of the little ones, more of the parents as well too, during the back to school season and leading into the holiday season. Also, if you're a children's author and if you say, oh my heavens, I'm going through some anxiety, it's the holiday season, I really want to do my part to get my children's book out there, we can empathize, we can connect with you, we know what it is that you're going through. If you are looking for dedicated PR support to be able to share the release of your brand new children's book, and whether it be to facilitate a book media tour in a city of your choosing, whether it be to facilitate a featured television interview or several featured television interviews, for more information even on the Children's Book Spotlight series and how we can be of service to you at PR From the Heart, you can schedule your courtesy connection call by heading on over to our official website at prfromtheheart.com. Let us see how we can be of service to you. One more time, you can head on over to Jeanette's official website, JeanetteCrystalBradley.com. You can also head on over to Amazon.com. Either way, you can purchase your copy of the first 12 days of preschool. It is now available. While on Amazon, of course, you can leave a 5-star review. That's one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Jeanette to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books in the process. We want to thank, of course, Jefferson. He always does an amazing job here behind the glass. The great team at the North County Media Center. If you're in the San Diego area, if you're ever traveling, and if you say, my gosh, I need to have a wonderful studio, dedicated people that really are all about bringing the best out of people and sharing heartful messages and truly bringing them to life, you can check out the North County Media Center and tell them that PR From the Heart sent you in the process as well, too. This has been a wonderful and magical trolley stop. There are so many more to come, Jeanette. We really appreciate you spending some free time with us here. This has been episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, but one final tip of the cap to our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers. He reminded us in his own way, especially through his episodes on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He reminded us each and every day of our inherent worth, our inherent value. In his own private numerology, his favorite 3 numbers were 143. So 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. And so as a little tip of the cap to the late Mr. Rogers, we like to share our favorite 3 numbers, and that is 243. There's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. As Jeanette was very kind enough to give us some of her free time here this week, we remind you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course our fellow shining stars, of your inherent worth and value, that you're perfect, you're whole, you're healthy, you're complete, that you're loved, you're special, just the way that you are. And again, this has been such a magical trolley stop. There are many more to go. We want to thank you for tuning in to episode number 156 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, for your support of PR From the Heart, for your support of this very program, the Children's Book Spotlight series, for your support of children's authors and illustrators such as Jeanette, who are, again, doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, those who love great children's books. We want to thank all of you for continuing to support local libraries, children's and independent bookstores, truly some of the pillars of our community. And above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world. So for the team at the North County Media Center, headed up by Jefferson here, for Jeanette, for myself, John Massalones, we want to thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood. Episode number 157 of the Children's Book Spotlight series will be just around the corner. But again, thank you for spending some quality time with us here in our neighborhood, here at the North County Media Center. And once again, above all else, thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.
Bye.